Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. Wonderful audience, and it's fantastic to see so many of you here. I think I'd like to take this opportunity, next 15, 20 minutes, to run through what we're trying to do in Gibraltar. Gibraltar as a jurisdiction, first of all, as well as what we're trying to do with the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange, which is actually a subsidiary of the Gibraltar Stock Exchange. The GSX is an EU-regulated exchange, and broadly speaking, what we are building over the course of 2018 is an exchange, a token exchange, and a cryptocurrency exchange that's built on the best practices that have been brought forward from a regulated market. And that, in essence, is what our starting point is all about. But then it goes beyond that. We're using the wonderful work that the Gibraltar government and the Gibraltar regulator are doing about taking an active corporate leadership stake and position globally. And we're all of us, both the government, regulator, and private enterprise, driving forward to really help people like you, globally, which is to take this business forward, take this wonderful industry that we're all very fortunate to be part of, forward and to grow it. So how are we going to do that? Well, from us as the GBX, it's all about bringing best practices to token sales. But first of all, something about Gibraltar. We're very small, a little bit like a Jack Russell, I suppose. Punches above its weight. Pugnacious over the last 300 years. But British overseas territory, own government, own regulator, and economically prosperous. But in terms of our OECD ranking, very similar to category and ranking to the United Kingdom and to Germany, for example. And we have 4 or 5 highly successful businesses: shipbuilding, obviously tourism, insurance. 20% of our actually 40% of the UK motor insurance market goes through Gibraltar's doors. Online gaming has been a very profitable and very good business for Gibraltar. We have 19 or 20 of the top gaming licenses are in Gibraltar. All the big world-renowned franchises that you see on the television, they're all Gibraltar-based. But we only have 19 of them. But we control about 40 to 50% of the global online gaming industry in terms of the volumes. And financial services is one that we're looking to grow also. So 2 years ago, the government and the regulator asked a question to private sector, 2 questions actually, in terms of looking at the blockchain industry. Is it something that we should be looking to regulate? And secondly, if so, if the answer is yes, how could we? And using some of the best practices of the principles that were applied to online gaming, which was really creating a framework that encouraged excellence, that created a kite mark for the online gaming industry, and something that enhanced the reputation of both the jurisdiction and the industry. So those principles in online gaming, could we apply those to the whole distributed ledger technology sector that was beginning to take effect? And so over the course of the last 2 years, the answer became increasingly yes, and that really culminated in January 2018, this year, with the launching of our own distributed ledger technology framework and regulations, posted on the January the 1st by the Gibraltar regulator and the government. It was if not the first, but one of the first attempts globally by a government to actually apply some regulatory principles to our industry. But those principles are both flexible and not prescriptive, and there are actually 9 principles that they've that have applied. But they're basically, broadly speaking, along the lines of investor protection, integrity, and having resources for oneself to be able to make sure and ensure that whatever business that you're running within Gibraltar on the blockchain is adequately resourced. So but the 9 broad principles are very easy to read, and they're on the websites of both the regulator and the government. I encourage you all to read them. Now, in parallel with that, obviously we've seen Interesting times for us, since particularly 2017. The cryptocurrency market and the whole token sale and the token industry growth that we've seen, industry estimates in 2017 alone of between $3.5 to $4 billion raised globally through what can be called ICOs, initial coin offerings, token generation events, whatever you want to call them. It's been an explosion of growth, explosion of ideas, but equally there's been some problems associated with that. An explosion of bad actors, an explosion of too much choice. I mean, as you know, there are many venture capitalists here in this room who are completely swamped. They can't keep up with 30 to 40 white papers being delivered every day through their letterbox. Equally for issuers, they're confused. There are a lot of wonderful projects out there that are now beginning to struggle to raise profile without spending an awful lot of money and to raise capital. It's a problem for both issuers and on the buy side, and that's what we at the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange are trying to solve, because I mentioned bad actors, but clearly there are a number of issues that are faced, and we've had some conversations today through our panels from a regulatory point of view about how do I structure my token? Is it a utility? Is it a security? What do I need to do in order to encourage a set of information and pieces for public dissemination that allows me to get my project out there and to raise capital? It's not easy. So this is where we come in, the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange. So we're trying to do two things initially. Firstly, to create a token sale platform and also a cryptocurrency exchange for utility tokens, all operating under the regulatory framework of the Gibraltar government. So we're applying, as I said earlier, best practices brought from a regulated market to improve due diligence, to increase transparency, and ultimately to increase confidence in this community and bringing together institutional investors, retail investors, and high-quality issuers all together in a trusted marketplace that we hope will be Gibraltar. As I said earlier, Gibraltar Stock Exchange. We are an EU-regulated exchange that operates currently the GSX main market and also the GSX global market, which is a self-regulated market of ours. So this is our plan. Once we have the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange, which will be launching in the first quarter this year, we are looking to do the following: have a token sale platform and utility tokens on the GBX, but also the debate at the moment, again, is how do we deal with security tokens? It's a problem for the market, how to deal with them. So we say, well, within our Gibraltar Stock Exchange ecosystem, there will be a way, because we have our EU-regulated market that lists securities. So our license extension this year with our regulator will be to apply for a license that will enable us to list your tokens that are deemed to be securities. So that's an interesting and valuable solution to the market. So a little bit more about what we're trying to do in terms of the corporate governance and best practices framework. Token sale platform. So we're going to be doing two things. Actually, initiating a rules-based system, a listing code, if you like, but also, as important, is that we're going to be creating a trusted network of what we call sponsor firms. So ICO issuers won't be coming to us directly as an exchange. They will be going to a trusted network of, if you like, an equivalent within the stock exchange of listing members, those that are responsible to take you to market. Now, another feature is those retail investors and institutional investors that come onto our exchange and are whitelisted and registered. That's a pool of investors that each token issuer that's listed on our token market platform and exchange have access to. Very important. So once we start building up that community, it's a trusted source of capital for your projects. other things that we're going to be doing with our ecosystem is not just our token sale platform and the crypto exchange, but other advisory services that we're going to be developing, from corporate services and e-money services and advisory. So the exchange itself, again, there are hundreds of cryptocurrency exchanges out there. There are hundreds of regulated exchanges, stock exchanges, but we think, maybe that once we launch this particular exchange, we'll be one of the first, if not the first, that is both. One other aspect that's been very important to us is actually partnering. We're not interested in necessarily creating a monopoly for ourselves. We're very open to collaboration with other exchanges around the world, because it's important to create a capital market network for all of you out there looking to raise capital, from east to west. We're here to build a financial network and be within Gibraltar a global node in that network. So as such, we've partnered up with Coin, which is one of the largest exchanges in Japan, for a number of things. Firstly, they're going to be helping us with our technology, but also in terms of our philosophies. They're aligned. They're a regulated market and regulated crypto exchange in Japan. Their backgrounds are similar to ours. And again, it's that east to west connection that we're trying to make. So there's a lot of alignment there, and we're pleased to have them on board as one of our technology partners. In terms of the listing process, as I said, I mentioned the sponsor firm network, but this is how it will work. So we have our trusted network of sponsor firms. So each new token issuer that's looking to come to market will appoint a sponsor firm, and that sponsor firm will review your application, get it match fit in accordance with our codes, and take you through the whole application process. So once you are approved, you are listed on our token platform, and then you have access to our whitelist of registered investors and participants. But equally, it also applies for those tokens that are already out there. You can still, if you have your token issued, you can still elect a sponsor firm, and again, they will take you through that process. So you can, you have a choice. You don't have to go onto the cryptocurrency exchange. You can just have your token generation event on our platform there without going to the currency exchange, or you can. It's entirely up to you. So in terms of the ecosystem, there's a bigger picture, because what we're looking to do is from ICO ignition all the way through, taking you on that journey once you come to Gibraltar, to the whole capital market journey. As you grow, we want you to be within our ecosystem in Gibraltar, and for you and us to grow together. So from ICO all the way through to publicly listed equities and debt, etc., we can do that within Gibraltar. That bridge between the crypto community and the traditional markets, that intersection is where we see us operating. And we have other services that we can offer within the GBX group. Fund administration, again, we're incredibly excited about the fund industry in the crypto market. It's still not quite working yet, globally, but I think that's the traditional asset management, traditional asset management industry is in trouble. In many ways, the 2 and 20 model no longer works, but in the crypto community, there's a very healthy growth in alternative asset management solutions, and within specializing within the crypto space. And again, we'd like them to come to Gibraltar, not just within GBX, but as a whole within our jurisdiction. Now, believe it or not, second one down, that's me on the left. 6 months ago, look how young, tanned, and healthy I look. Now that I've been in crypto, and so obviously 6 months in crypto is the equivalent to 15 dog years. I'm decidedly older, particularly as we've been going through our own token sale process, which has been very very challenging, very intensive, and very a valuable learning experience for us. Because how can we, as an exchange, provide a rules-based system without us ourselves really understanding what it takes to have a successful token? So we're doing our own token raise, and that's been going very well. And that's not why I'm here, by the way. But it's I cannot emphasize enough that, I applaud you all, all of you that are looking to sort of raise capital through the token journey, because it's not easy and it's getting harder. But that's our executive team, a lot of grey hair there, as well as younger guys from Asia in particular. We sold 25% of our business 6 months ago to a Hong Kong fintech team, and they've been great partners for us in terms of strategically working together. Indeed, technology team that we've been slowly building up, and our advisory team, again, always very important to have some of the best advisors you can get to help you through the token journey. And hopefully, as you can see there, we have quite a few that have been incredibly helpful for us. And as is our advisory team, the governance advisory team. So I've said before, legal advice, very important. Get as much as you can within your budget, across as many jurisdictions as you can. Once you've identified which jurisdictions will be the most fruitful for you. And our development of the GBX is in 3 phases. So firstly, launching our crypto exchange and token sale platform. Obviously, we've just applied for our license under the new Gibraltar DLT framework, so that application is in. So hopefully we await to get that back. But within that timetable, we're looking for a launch of our token sale platform and exchange in the first quarter. But then moving on from that into phase 2, which is really extending our license to look at how we can build out our ecosystem throughout 2018, including e-money services, looking at the security token license extension as well. But all without a lot of work to do, but no different from any other projects that are in this room. It's all about execution. Do what you say what you do. Which leads us on to our own token. How we the rocket. The RKT. It's a access token for our GBX ecosystem, and we're trying to do 2 things. So it's actually the entry token into our ecosystem. So all listing fees, all sponsor firm fees will be paid in the RKT, but also trading fees will be at a discount to fiat if you're using RKT. But we're also trying to use it to encourage best practices and good practices amongst issuers and sponsor firms through what we call staking. So both issuers and sponsor firms have to take a stake in our tokens when they come to market, which will be slowly released back to them over a period of time, because we've identified that obviously post a token generation event, it's all about communication and execution for your token participants. So we want to encourage best behavior, and if necessary, punish bad by retaining those tokens if you've broken the listing rules that we've applied. But also equally, we want to have it a bit more than that. So all investors that have at least a certain amount of RKT in their portfolio will have exclusive access to any token that's listed on our token platform for the first 24 hours. And again, I think that's very important. So there we go, listing fees, investors, sponsor fees, and trading fees. And I've run through the ecosystem. I'm running out of time, so I'll just flick through, and there we are. So please, visitors in Gibraltar, we'd love you to come, find out what we're doing as a jurisdiction and as an exchange. A lot of information on our own gbx.gi. Encourage you to speak to me later and find out more about what we're doing. But thank you very much for your time. Any questions, I'm delighted to answer them if we have time.
What about Brexit? After Brexit, what happens?
After Brexit? Oh, gosh. Okay. It's interesting. Obviously, as you all know, either 95 or 96% of us in Gibraltar voted to remain. So the day after was an interesting experience for us. But we as a jurisdiction relied, or thought we relied on the EU passport, but it was a bit like a sad place the day after. But once we started to actually analyse to what extent our business relied on the EU and to what extent it relied on globally, we actually found that only 10% of our business as a jurisdiction went to the EU. Predominantly, it was UK-based. So that was one aspect that was important for us to understand. But equally, as an exchange and as a jurisdiction, what you're seeing here, in terms of the initiatives that we've applied since 2016, is as a direct result of Brexit. So it's been a catalyst for us to say, okay, we need to diversify and look at other things to ensure that, as a jurisdiction, that the survival and the growth and the prosperity of us is as much as possible a result of our work rather than having to rely on our EU partners. So that's where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.